Why does your healing scare them more than your pain? When you were broken, they smiled. When you doubted yourself, they thrived. But now, something has shifted. You've rebuilt yourself from the ashes they left behind, and they can feel it. A quiet strength radiates from you. One they can't control. One they can't corrupt. Narcissists are drawn to unhealed empaths like predators to wounded prey. But when that prey learns to fight back, when you no longer bleed for them, they fear you. Carl Jung understood why. He believed that once you integrate your shadow, you become untouchable, because you no longer seek validation from those who feed on your doubt. This isn't just psychology. It's survival. It's the moment you stop being their supply and start being their mirror. In the next few minutes, you'll see why your transformation threatens them more than anything else, and how to use that knowledge to protect your peace forever. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Narcissists live in that unconscious darkness, a place where their shadow, the repressed, ugly parts of themselves, rules everything they do. They can't face it, so they project it onto others, often onto empaths. Why empaths? Because empaths feel deeply. They absorb emotions like a sponge. They reflect the narcissist's unspoken shame back at them, even if they don't mean to. When an empath is unhealed, this reflection is blurred. The narcissist sees only vulnerability, and that vulnerability is easy to exploit. But Jung warned, once you begin the process of individuation, integrating your shadow instead of denying it, you become something entirely different. You are no longer a blurred mirror. You are crystal clear glass. Every mask they wear cracks in your presence. They feel exposed. They feel small. And most importantly, they feel powerless. Jung believed that this confrontation with the shadow is terrifying for those who refuse to grow. To a narcissist, a healed empath is like sunlight to a vampire. Not because the empath is cruel, but because the empath sees. And when you truly see them, they can no longer hide. But how does this play out in the real world? How does this theory turn into the painful, messy encounters you've lived through? That's where we go next. Before the healing, there was the ache. You gave without keeping score, listened without judgment, loved without limits, and in return, silence, dismissal, betrayal. The wounded empath is a magnet for takers. Your kindness was not a gift to them. It was a resource to be mined. Every tear you shed, every second you stayed was proof you could be controlled. Carl Jung might call this identification with the persona, the mask of the good person you wore to feel worthy. You believed your empathy was your strength. It was, but in the wrong hands, it became your cage. You tried harder, explained more, gave second, third, and fourth chances, because deep down you hoped they would see the real you. They did see you, and they used it, like a lighthouse burning itself to guide ships that never intended to dock. You exhausted yourself for people who only wanted your light, never your love. This is the part no one warns you about, that your most beautiful traits will be weaponized against you until you learn to protect them. But here's the truth. A wounded empath is still powerful. That pain, it's the forge. And one day, that same light they exploited will blind them. It doesn't happen all at once. Healing is rarely a single lightning strike. It's 1,000 small moments that eventually set the whole sky on fire. Maybe it began with a book you couldn't put down. Maybe it was therapy. Maybe it was the day you realized the apology you were waiting for would never come. Something shifted. You stopped asking, "Why would they do this to me?" and started asking, "Why did I allow it?" That's when you crossed the threshold Jung called individuation, the journey inward to meet your shadow. No more pretending you didn't have anger. No more burying your boundaries under endless forgiveness. You began to see your own darkness, and instead of fearing it, you claimed it. At first, it felt wrong, like breaking a rule you didn't know you'd been living under. You said no and felt guilt. You walked away and felt shame. But then, something powerful happened. You realized the guilt was just the echo of their control. And the shame, it was theirs, never yours. You started walking lighter, speaking slower, looking people in the eye without shrinking. And this is where the narcissist feels the first tremor. They sense the shift before you've even named it. They don't see the old you anymore, and that terrifies them. Because a healed empath is no longer a safe place for their shadow to hide. Next, we'll uncover the exact reasons your transformation triggers their deepest fears and why they'll do almost anything to pull you back. Control, that's the word. It's what they had before and what they've now lost. When you were unhealed, you were predictable. They could push a button and watch you react, cry, apologize, over-explain. You were supply on demand. But healing rewrites the script. You don't flinch at their silent treatment. You don't chase their approval. You don't give them the emotional reactions they feed on. Carl Jung warned that what you resist persists. The narcissist resists their own shadow, so it clings to them like a parasite. When you heal, you're no longer a host. You cut off the emotional oxygen they've been breathing. It's not just about losing control over you. It's about what you represent. You are living proof that their narrative is a lie. They've built their identity on the belief that people cannot change, that they are the center of every story. But you've changed in ways they can't. Your self-awareness forces them to confront their own lack of growth. Your boundaries reveal their selfishness. Your calm exposes their chaos. And this is the ultimate threat. You have nothing they can take anymore. Your worth no longer comes from their validation. Your happiness is no longer tied to their mood. Jung might say you've integrated your shadow. You own your flaws, your rage, your past. You've stopped hiding from yourself, so they can't use your hidden parts against you. They can't manipulate what you've already embraced. To them, you've become dangerous, not because you harm them, but because you see them. And people who see them can't be fooled. But the fear doesn't end there. It turns into action. Desperate, calculated action to drag you back into the role you've escaped. And that's exactly what we'll expose next. Stand in front of a mirror long enough, and you'll see more than your reflection. You'll see the parts you avoid, the flaws you deny, the truth you hide. To a narcissist, a healed empath is that mirror, not a warped, forgiving reflection that softens their edges, but a flawless, unflinching glass that shows every crack. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But narcissists don't want that understanding. They run from it, because to see themselves clearly would mean confronting the shadow they've buried their whole life. When you were unhealed, your empathy blurred the reflection. You excused their cruelty. You softened the truth to protect their ego. They could look at you and still believe their mask. Now, your presence is different. Your silence is different. Your boundaries are different. And without even trying, you hold up the mirror they've spent years avoiding. They see their manipulation for what it is. They feel their insecurity without your reassurance to numb it. They hear their own lies echo back when you don't engage, and it terrifies them. Because they know, once you've seen their true face, you'll never unsee it. Once you've named the game, you'll never play it again. This is why some narcissists will disappear when you heal, not because they've changed, but because the mirror you hold is too bright, too honest, too dangerous to their illusion. But not all of them run. Some will try to smash the mirror, to make you question what you see, to drag you back into the haze. And that is where their strategies begin. When the mirror becomes too clear, they don't always walk away. Sometimes they fight. And their weapons are subtle, calculated, designed to slip past your awareness. The first is love bombing. Suddenly, they're everything you dreamed of. Sweet words, grand gestures, the soulmate mask you fell for in the beginning. But it's bait, not love. Then comes guilt. They remind you of everything they've done for you, how much you owe them. They twist your empathy into chains, hoping you'll sacrifice your healing for their comfort. Next is the smear campaign. If they can't control you, they'll try to control the way others see you. They spread lies, half-truths. They make you the villain in the story they created. And finally, the hoovering. Like a vacuum, they suck at your boundaries. Messages late at night, sudden emergencies, anything to draw you back into orbit. Carl Jung might call this the desperate resistance of the shadow. When confronted, it lashes out. It does anything to survive. But here's the difference now. You see the pattern. You know the script. And the game that once broke you now exposes them. Because the healed empath doesn't bite the hook. Not anymore. This is the part they never expected. The version of you that no longer bends, no longer bleeds just to prove your love. Living as a healed empath doesn't mean you've lost your compassion. It means you've learned to direct it wisely. Selective empathy. A gift for those who value it, not a currency for those who exploit it. Your boundaries are no longer walls of fear. They are doors of choice. You decide who enters. You decide who stays. Carl Jung believed in integration of the shadow, owning your darkness so it doesn't own you. You no longer deny your anger. You no longer bury your pain. Instead, you channel it into wisdom, into strength, into clarity. And here's the paradox. You are softer and stronger at the same time. Your no carries weight. Your yes carries truth. The narcissist may still hover at the edges, testing for weakness. But you've shifted. You're not the same mirror they once controlled. Now you reflect peace and power. This is the new identity, the healed empath, compassionate but not naive, giving but never empty, loving but never blind. And from this place, everything in your life begins to change. But what does this transformation mean for your future and for the world around you? That's what we'll explore next. A healed empath is more than a survivor. They are a force. Your presence changes dynamics wherever you go. In relationships, you no longer chase love. You attract it. Healthy people recognize your strength, while toxic ones sense the boundary and drift away. In work, your clarity becomes influence. You see patterns others miss. You notice motives others ignore. And that awareness makes you unshakable in a world built on manipulation. Carl Jung believed that wholeness, not perfection, was the goal of life. And wholeness radiates. Your friends feel it. Your family feels it. Strangers notice it without knowing why. You become proof that pain can become power, that being deeply feeling is not a weakness, but a rare strength, once refined. And here's the truth society won't tell you. The world needs healed empaths. Because where narcissists dominate with fear, healed empaths lead with vision. Where manipulation divides, healed empaths unify. Where lies corrode, healed empaths illuminate. You are no longer playing small, no longer shrinking to keep the peace. Your existence itself is a quiet revolution. And that is why narcissists fear you. Not because you harm them, but because your light makes their darkness undeniable. And as you step fully into this power, there is only one final step: to remember who you are. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not weak. You are rare. And rarity has always been misunderstood. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's what you've been doing, piece by piece, shadow by shadow, step by step. And now you stand here, healed, awake, and untouchable. Narcissists may fear you, but the truth is, the world needs you, your voice, your vision, your empathy, sharpened, not stolen. So hold your boundaries like armor. Carry your compassion like a torch. And remember, every healed empath becomes a light in a world that often prefers the dark. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share your story in the comments. Because somewhere out there, another empath is still in the storm, and your words might be their way out. And if you want to keep growing with a tribe of deep thinkers, outsiders, and truth seekers, subscribe. Join this community. Stand with others who are choosing truth over comfort, healing over illusion, light over shadow. Your journey is not over. It's only just begun.